Hey, fucking pinkroom.com.
Yeah, just
Vibes.
doing my OnlyFans bit.
Hey, before we get started, I'm going to get all my nuffiness out of the way real quick, and I'm going to show you a photo of me circa 2005, 2006, wearing my BCE shirt
That's sick.
there.
That's sick. Welcome to my nightmare. Yeah, that's an old school shirt, man. That's awesome.
And copy number 16 of
Oh,
50. So thank you very much for
oh,
producing that. I had a lot of fun chucking that on the turntable very recently.
that's sick. You know what? I don't have a turntable, so I haven't even listened to it yet. Unfortunately, I got to get one. Got to sort it out.
Well, can say that it sounds fantastic. There wasn't very many weekends that I didn't either see you guys or Carpathian or I Killed the Prom Queen or
Oh,
Getaway Plan or Parkway Drive. You're either all playing together or, alternate weekends. Pushover Festival was another big one, and of course, the concert I keep hounding my co-host with, Taste of Chaos
Taste of
2005, which
chaos,
was
man. He brings this festival up anytime he gets the chance. It sounds like the dream.
yeah. Taste the Gators was sick.
yeah, I mean,
Um,
what a lineup.
yeah, we only played the one show, the Melbourne one,
Yep.
but yeah, that was our first big show. And so we were, yeah, like pretty nervous about it. And we only had 15 minutes. So it was like a whirlwind of get on, do your thing, and get off. But I'm not sure, are we recording or do you want to save any of this for
Yeah, no, we're
chatting
recording,
or
so it's
no?
all good, man.
We're good. All right, cool. So yeah, part of the story of that was we're playing in front of 10,000 people at Rod Laver Arena, 15 minutes. And of course, the one thing that never goes wrong is a bass snapping a string. But that happened
No, dude.
halfway through our set. We were like, just, um, we'd never toured before. We weren't a proper band. We'd sort of only been around for, I don't even know how long, 8 months or so. But so we didn't have a spare guitar or a spare bass, or we didn't have crew members to be able to help us. So poor old Baz was there stringing his bass on stage while we're trying to, I don't know, not stress out that this is happening at the biggest show of our lives. But he managed to get it sorted and we continued. But yeah, what could go wrong did. But it was fun
That's
and
rough.
some
No,
good.
no other bands like were side stage and were like, yeah, here you go, whatever. We got like 14 basses for our band, so here you go. We'll just chuck you one. That's rough as guts.
No, no, like I guess because we're the first band on. We're just some local unknown band. I guess we're the likes of the Used, Story of the Year. What who else was it? It was like
Yeah, it was
Killswitch Engage. It
Switch,
was like
Funeral for a Friend, Taking Back Sunday. It was such a lineup.
yeah. So we were the nobodies, but yeah. No, unfortunately, no one came to our rescue. But we managed to how to get by. I'm not sure if you guys play music, but I have this reoccurring nightmare of being up on stage and shit going wrong. And
Yeah.
that nightmare came true. So
Yeah.
um, yeah, but bit of fun.
Don't worry. That nightmare is definitely shared between the two of us. Between forgetting lyrics for a song and holding an instrument that you don't play and being expected to have some lead line ready, it's all there. I have one a
Yeah,
week. Don't worry about it.
it's so stressful, and yeah, but we made it through the other side, um, thankfully. And I don't think too many people remember that incident, but they obviously remember how good the lineup was and how good the gig was. So that's all
Yeah,
that matters.
I mean, it was like I've talked to JD over here a number of times about that particular concert, because it was just, I mean, a lineup, and there's no way you could get that lineup over here
Yeah.
anymore unless they all for some reason came for good things or something like that. But there's just no chance of that happening, I would have thought, here in Australia.
Yeah, and that was, as you said, might come out for good things, but that's an enormous festival now. And to think that lineup was in Rod Laver, which is 10,000, and that's the stadium that Parkway just headlined. So yeah, I mean, it's a big scale. Those bands are massive now. So yeah, we were very fortunate to have that experience.
Did that kickstart a bunch of stuff for you guys? Like, did you make some connections on that day? Were you enterprising and trying to, hand your EPs and stuff out, and like, did things like really take off from that moment?
Yeah, one of the things that came out of that, it was sort of a little bit before, like a couple of days before we'd met Funeral for a Friend, and it was through a friend of mine who was good friends with them. He just so happened to be in Melbourne at the same time as well. So he introduced us to them, and obviously they played on that whole tour. But we subsequently got to tour with them. I think the following year when they came out and toured. So we already got to establish some connections there, and that benefited us later on. In terms of, I guess it just put us on the same level as those bands as well. I think the one of the was it in Sydney or Brisbane? I can't remember. Parkway Drive was the opening band as well. So I think for both of us, it sort of put us on that level with those international bands and put us in front of the same audience. So it really did help us build some fans that we could then start our own careers and on touring and so on.
Well, you would have seen obviously like Parkway's just announced their huge Sydney Opera House gig, and have you kept an eye on those guys? Because obviously they have just exploded, and like we very rarely see them in Australia anymore. So, it's
Yeah,
on one hand you must be proud, but is there a little bit of envy there as well?
I'm stoked that they got to this level. Like it's pretty hard to imagine coming from where they did. Um, and they used to. I lived in a suburb called Hawthorne, and it was right near. My house was right near one of the clubs that a lot of bands used to go and play at called Switch. It was sort of like an emo hardcore punk club. And so Parkway Drive would occasionally stay at my place, and they would just stay on the floor. And then we'd go and watch them play in front of 50 people at Switch, or 100 or 200 people at the Art House in Melbourne. So to see that over 20 years, them still grinding it out and really made it, I'm stoked for them. But yeah, obviously, I would have liked Behind Crimson Eyes to have that kind of success as well. Um, but definitely not jealous. Um, is probably not the right word because I'm stoked for them. But yeah, I wish we could have had that same kind of level of success.
Well, yeah, I guess it's one of those tough things where it's you kind of championing the scene, really. I mean, you guys are up against basically all the other music combined in the heavy scene like this, and there's that, I guess, that underdog mentality that everybody's got, and it's why everybody is, I guess, so close at the shows and why there's such a camaraderie. So I guess it's like, you just want to see somebody do it, because they're repping you basically.
Yeah, that's it. And the heavy music scene, like back then, it was so niche. Even though we sort of had as we're talking about the Taste of Chaos, like that was sort of one of the big moments I think in heavy music in Australia of like, hey, this thing has a big audience here, and a lot of people support it. But it's even another level now. As I said, like Parkway headlining that same venue themselves. And I think in general the whole scene has had a real is in a renaissance. Like it's doing better than it ever has, and it's because of the likes of Amity and Parkway and all the bands that came before them that helped propel them as well. But like you said, it's good to see because they kind of represent our scene.
Hmm.
So it's and especially like Australia on the heavy music scene internationally punches way above its weight. Um, I recently went and saw Dayseeker, and I caught
Oh, yeah.
up with Landon, who was touring on that. His band Plot and You, but he was talking about all the awesome metalcore bands that Australia produces, like Polaris, Amity, and um, Thornhill, In Heart's Way. There's just so many good bands from Australia that are representing the heavy music scene internationally. So yeah, fantastic to see.
Yeah, I guess like on a personal level for you guys, I mean, you've been at it for so long and you've seen so many different changes in what's, I guess, in vogue. I mean, like the heavy scene really did become, or I guess in that Tumblr, MySpace era, like that, it was like popular culture. It was like ingrained in everything, and then of course we've seen things change, and just the way that people view that music. Like, how do you guys keep I guess the fire going, and how do you keep the edge? I mean, like you guys are like the nice guys. Like we're talking to you right now. It's like you're a legend. Like super super nice, super approachable. Like how do you keep the anger and the angst and the edge and after so many years?
It goes. it goes through waves. Like after maybe 2008, 2009, I was pretty burnt out from touring, from music, from the scene in general. And I think we, took an extended break through that period. And I think that allowed us to take a step back and appreciate what we had achieved and the opportunities that we had. Um, and and I guess take it when you're in it, you can get a little bit jaded and bitter and get too focused on yourself. But when you can take a step back and really appreciate how things are, I think that that really helped. Um, I I kind of wish we had taken a little bit of a break between our two records that would have allowed us to probably have not get to that stage where we felt burnt out. But it is what it is, and we're sort of at a stage now where we're not burnt out. We love music, but at the same time, I think we realized that we couldn't keep up the intensity required to make this something and continue to grow it. And that's mainly because the guys all have families. They all have young kids. They have to support them and make sure there's income and food on the table. And to commit to music, it's a full-time thing. You can't just sort of do it half in and half out. So I think having that break meant that we could stay grounded and really appreciate it, but and at the same time keep some of that fire that's allowed us to put out some new music that I feel is probably some of the best we've ever done. Um, and really just have a good perspective on everything. Yeah,
Yeah, it's sort of a weird one. It's like obviously it's you and Aaron from the start, and that time you're speaking of, that's probably about when Kevin left as well. And I can't tell you how many times I went home and practiced that Kevin guitar spin and fucking knocked myself out. Ended up with bruises and chipped teeth and all that sort of shit. But like you did go quiet for a little bit. A couple singles here and there, and then the last couple years, like Dead Drop Dead, and now obviously Burn It Down. These things are fucking fire. And it's sort of like for people like me who's like, oh, here we go, they're coming back, and then it's like, we're
yeah.
calling it quits doing the tour. So what's the thinking of coming back with like these cracking songs and then going, well, yeah, and I guess you touched on it then with family and life responsibilities that often get in the way. But yeah, you're really leaving us
Yeah,
wanting.
yeah. I guess it's like we're artists at heart, and I really love the process of creating new music. I don't particularly enjoy the recording part of it. That's a bit more mechanical and a bit can become a bit of a grind. But I do really love writing songs and lyrics and music in general. So part of it is that part of it's ego of like, hey guys, we can still write some awesome songs. Hopefully, people see it that way too. But so it's partly that, and partly I think we want to leave. I want to say a legacy, but just like leave something to mark our career of like, hey, this is us. This is what we think best represents Behind Crimson Eyes. Um, and I it's funny internally. The guys are all like, "Oh, we can't." Yeah, like you sort of saying there, Brooksy, God, we can't give up now. Like this is the best stuff we've ever done. But I don't want to, pull a John Farnham on everyone and
Yeah,
retire and
last,
come back
last,
50
last, last.
times. But yeah, but who knows what will happen in the future? But I think right now we're really focused on this last tour and see it's a good way to go out, a good way to say thanks to the fans, um, and not have this kind of thing just fade into insignificance over time because that's sort of what happens with music. There's so much good new stuff coming out that people want to consume that stuff and forget about the old stuff. So we feel like it's a good time to do all of that now.
I was going down a tour of Glenferrie Road the other day with JD because I was talking about because you were a Swinburne uni fella as well, is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that where you went?
Yes, that is where I went. I was a little bit after you. I was 2009, but I was reminiscing about the pizza joint with the student meal deal. We are having a quick look on old Google Maps, and it was like $5.90, and I think I survived on that place. You get a sliced drink and whatnot.
Yeah.
So,
There, that and there was a kebab store that had the same like $6 kebabs or
yeah,
something like that. That yeah, I lived off as well.
right next to Room as well. The place
Yeah, yep.
that wouldn't really check ID and let just about anyone in. And then if the
Yeah,
right up next to the chase is a little bit longer, so if you're a little bit older, that's where you wanted to hang out.
yeah. What a spot! As I mentioned before, the club there, Switch,
Yeah,
which I guess it had turned into Next,
that's
which
right.
was the Colonial Hotel. So we had moved it, and actually, I worked with Destroyer Lines back then to run those clubs. Um, but yeah, what a time for heavy music, and it just had such a cool vibe there, and in Melbourne in general, for heavy music.
Yeah, well, like I said, there probably wasn't too many weekends where I wouldn't catch you or Carpathian or any project that Crafter was involved in, and the Getaway Plan and the like. So, I mean, you guys have done well compared to some of those. Like, I couldn't tell you what. I think Crafter's doing
Kitchen
yeah,
cooking.
cooking classes on Instagram now
Yeah,
or
yeah,
something like that.
yeah. Loves
Um,
it.
Yeah, do sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
no,
No, no,
you're
no.
right. But
I did.
one of the
I,
nicest blokes.
I Yeah, I do see that they seem I Kill the Prom Queen seem to be teasing something this
Yeah.
year. So I wonder if they do come back for one last shot.
Mm. When you say teasing, do you mean personally hearing from Crafter himself?
I just no, this is just public info. I don't know anything more than
Okay.
that, but just from some of their socials and some hints, and I guess Kraft did a guest spot on the Parkway tour recently, so maybe he's got the bit again.
No.
Who knows?
I guess talking about the scene and stuff. Like, how have you found the like what the crowd makeup is like at your shows? Like most recently, do you find that there is a younger generation starting to come through, and do you think that we will see? You know, we're talking that we're in that heavy music renaissance, but do you think that we'll get back to the days of, having people's key and favorite music genre at large being heavy in some way?
I'm I'm not sure we'll get back to that. These things actually, I think we will. It's just these things come in cycles, you know. I can't speak to our own crowd. We haven't played too many shows. The last shows we did were supporting Story of the Year and Census Vale, and they're, I guess, younger than the crowd is younger than us, but there's still some older people in, but it's not the new, teenager generation coming up. But I do see other bands like Ocean Sleeper, and other sort of, up and coming metalcore bands. They do seem to have a younger audience as well that's there coming out to their shows. But I think one of the things that really fostered um, the heavy music scene in the younger generation, and maybe Brooksy, you can speak to it. You might have gone to a show put on by Freezer, which is like a local, a government-run thing that gave money to local communities and kids to put on their own shows. And we played so many of them
Oh yes.
all around Victoria, and there's other ones that similar programs in other states that allowed us to build that our fan base of younger fans. So um, hopefully something like that comes back to put on shows for kids to go out and listen to heavy music. But yeah, I think it'll come back around eventually. Like I said, these things come in cycles.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I went to one of those at Mooney Ponds where you guys would have played in the Getaway Plan and things like that. Just yeah, it really did make up a lot of my sort of 14 to 17-year-old life, and yeah, it's really sad to see you guys packing it in, but I've really enjoyed the last couple of tunes you brought out as well. So it's been a bit bittersweet, and of course the tour kicks off in Adelaide before going over to Perth. So you're going a bit of a sort of cross country before ending up in the hometown in Melbourne. So yeah, like how your feelings and thoughts leading into this tour, knowing that it's going to be it for at least a little while.
Yeah, it hasn't really sunk in too much. I'm basically the band manager, agent, label,
Yeah.
finance, everything at the moment. So it's been just super busy trying to organize all this, and I haven't really, I guess, had a chance to really reflect on it all just yet. But I definitely will be sad, each and every night thinking that this is probably the last time that we play as a band, and these songs. Um, yeah, a bit to look forward to till then. We're bringing out a final EP. So you mentioned there's two singles that came out already. There's another 5 songs that will be that people haven't heard that will be on the EP, and that will be out. I think it's April 4th. So that's something to look forward to, and and as you mentioned, the tour kicking off in Adelaide, and then yeah, we recently sold out one of the shows in Melbourne, so we announced a second show at Stay Gold. So yeah, a bit to look forward to before I get sad about it all ending.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm sure the show will be filled with people just like me. And tickets, like $40. Come on, man. Come on, you're
Yeah.
doing yourself a disservice
It,
there.
no, look, we want people to be able to come and not be priced out. We've never really, we've never done this for money. Otherwise, we probably would have packed it in a long time ago. So yeah, it's good that we've been able to keep ticket prices low, and hopefully that enables everybody to come along.
Mm. No, it's definitely a great move from you guys, and of course, like so many people are turning down shows that they would have otherwise gone to see just because of money. So you don't want that to get in the way, and you're playing some great gigs, some great venues as well. The Bright Side in Brisbane, which is always a haunt that goes off. A great room to play, good energy there, and when that place is full, it really feels good. So that'll be great. And yeah, it just means that you get to, I don't know, you get to have a bit more fun. Maybe you buy that second beer instead, and you get to or buy the t-shirt. I'm sure buy the t-shirt. Buy the t-shirt. It's
It doesn't matter.
yeah.
Just come and have fun.
Yeah, it's exactly right.
Yeah, I don't fit into my I think that was an XS small that I was
Yeah,
wearing
yeah.
then in that photo
Oh,
I
you
showed you
still got
before.
it?
I think so.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think it's
nice.
still in my home in Melbourne, but
Yeah.
yeah, I doubt that I'd squeeze into that one anymore, so I'll have to get a new one.
Oh, what a shame.
Mate, honestly, it's been an absolute pleasure, and thank you for a long time. You guys were my absolute favorite band, and like I said, wouldn't miss you guys anytime you did a show. So, I was getting a little bit excited over the last couple of years when you guys, started to appear on my socials again, and that tour last year was Story of the Year. Like Page Avenue is one of my favorite albums of all time from those guys as well. So that was an absolute belter. So, yeah, it fills me with sadness, but I'm so glad you guys are bringing out some more music, and I'm sure you and Aaron will have a chance at the end to share a quiet beer together and reflect on it all.
Yeah, really appreciate it. Thanks so much, Booksy JD. I can't thank you guys enough, and all the fans and everybody listening that supported us over the last 21 years. Really big thanks.
Do you chat to like Kevin and Baz and stuff? Are you expecting them to rock up at one of the shows?
Yeah, I've spoken to both of those guys, and they'll be around for sure at the Melbourne show. We'll see what's in store. Who knows? Maybe they'll get up and rock out with us one last time as well.
Yeah, one more guitar spin, please.
Yeah, that's it. The guitar, there's a guitar spin story where he actually it flung off and hit our sound guy between the eyes,
Oh,
and
shit.
almost KO'd him. Like it was like an in-storm show in Sydney, and yeah, so so if he does come and play and does do a guitar spin, maybe just take a few steps back just in case.
I'll put some strap locks on for goodness sake, right? Like what
Yeah, yeah.
the fuck?
I think it pulled the whole lug out of
Oh
the
my
the
God,
guitar.
okay.
So
Yeah, I was gonna say you have to be actually nuts to do it without strap locks in the first place, but I thought,
yeah,
Jesus Christ, this guy's a madman.
no, no,
Right.
broken guitar.
Yeah.
Mate, appreciate it. The tour kicks off 18th of April in Adelaide. It goes everywhere. Perth, Sydney, Anzac Day here in Brizzy, and then the last couple of shows in Melbourne. Tickets available through Destroyer Lines, and like I said, they're $40, so absolutely no excuse not to head along. So, Josh, mate, thank you very much from the bottom of my heart. It's been great.
Thanks so much, guys. Take care.
Thanks, man.